and just let
All right,
them
I got
go.
a question for you, man. Do you think John Lynch is on the hot seat? He's been going on like a media tour and he's been talk about controlling the narrative. He's been out there getting his narrative out there. And his narrative is that he was informed by his bosses, the Yorks, this offseason that the team needed to be not just younger, but cheaper as well. And given those parameters, constraints, they've done a good job. They've done the best they could do, which is kind of scary because it seems like, I don't know. Well, here's the other context. Yesterday, the Niners promoted a bunch of guys in their front office. Tariq Ahmad, promotion. RJ Gillum, assistant GM. Brian Hampton, assistant GM. John Lynch, no promotion, no extension. His contract expires after 2026. So next year he'll be a lame duck. Is he on the hot seat? I mean, is he on the hot seat?
I would say, here's my thing. I think John, because everyone's always talked about him going back to TV and that being an interest for him. I think, and John's constantly talks about like, I want to win a Super Bowl. I think John has put himself on the hot seat via Kyle. Like, I think he's kind of like, listen, man, like, I wanted to win a Super Bowl. I thought we could do it together. If this ain't happening and I'm going to keep getting your stuff thrown in my face, I'm just kind of over it. I'm just going to go do TV and make $100 million to do commentating. And I think John would only be, I think a John firing or letting go would be, in my opinion, more of a hit to Kyle.
I completely agree. I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, so I don't think John is. I think Kyle is via John. Because if they get rid of John, it's not them getting rid of John. It's them getting rid of Kyle as GM and them saying, all right, we're bringing a dude in that's actually going to make decisions.
Correct.
Because
I see it the same way. Thank you for saying that. I was going to say the same thing. Like, to me, having John as the GM is a big vote of confidence in Kyle as a personnel guy. Yep. And I don't know that they still feel as confident in Kyle as a personnel guy after the Ayuk contract, after some of the whiffs he's had in the draft. I think what we're seeing is that the Niners now, the Yorks, are very confident in Tariq Ahmad, RJ Gillum, and Brian Hampton. Brian Hampton is like Parag Jr. He's a money guy. RJ Gillum seems like he could be a face of the organization, a voice. And Tariq Ahmad seems to be like their new Trent Baalke, their new like personnel guru, the guy that they really trust to draft and evaluate players. So if those guys' stock is up and let's say this offseason, some team like, I don't know, whatever team that's trying to rebuild comes to the Niners and says, we want to interview Gillum. We want to interview Ahmad. We want to interview Hampton. Maybe the Niners are thinking, you know what? We don't want to lose these guys. John, you don't really do anything other than ask them their opinion and make and allow Kyle to make the final decision. Maybe it's come to the point where after 9 years, these guys have improved so much. We feel confident that they can run the organization. You got to go.
Yeah.
Because
who knows? Maybe this offseason is like one of those things, like let's hand John the reins, let him work with Saleh and see what John's thinking and go for it from there. But yeah, I think it's a Kyle hot seat via John. Like, I think, I don't know. Dude, you can't see the Eagles and watch what Howie is doing and be
Great point.
Yeah, Kyle and the Kyle John duo is doing as well as him.
It's a great point.
This dude is just grabbing all pro after all pro after all pro.
Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use promo code COHN, COHN, and download the app now. And there's a clear power structure. The general manager hires the coach. The general manager has final say over the coach. The coach does his job. Like, say what you want about Nick Sirianni. He has one job. Kyle has like 7.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of like makes him not do any of them particularly well. The fact that he has to be a bad general manager hurts him as a head coach.
Yeah. And that's why
we saw that the Yorks made him hire an offensive coordinator this year. And it doesn't seem like he has as much personnel power anymore. So maybe they're trying to look, to your point, at the Eagles and be more like them. But if you want to be like the Eagles, you have to have a strong general manager, which is not, sorry, John, that's not what you were brought in to be.
Yeah. And maybe, again, they're probably like taking like Kyle. How can we make you like Andy Reid? Right. That's his biggest comparison is Andy Reid. And maybe Kyle said it. He's
Or
like,
even Sean McVay. What's interesting about the Rams, they have a strong general manager. Les Snead hired McVay. They didn't fire Snead and say, McVay,
yeah.
bring in whoever you want. That didn't happen.
And I'm not saying like just ignore Kyle, right? Because like obviously he has great ideas. Like I'm sure. Just don't make him have to GM.
Right.
And maybe that's what they went to Kyle like, okay, what's missing for you? And maybe that's what Kyle said. Maybe Kyle's like, dude, I need help. Like, I need Sala. I need a Spagnuolo. Look at what Andy Reid has. He has a Spagnuolo.
I need a Howie Roseman.
Yeah. And then he's like, I need help with the draft, man. I can't spend all off season on the draft. And then
you saw the Niners brought back that guy from the Jacksonville front office, Ethan Waugh. He'd been with the Niners. He was in Jacksonville. He's a Trent Baalke disciple. I'm telling you, I think there's a lot of evidence that the Niners are losing confidence in John as a personnel guy and sort of positioning people to fill a void.
And maybe it's just Kyle. Maybe they're also doing that because Kyle's just like, I just don't want a GM anymore. Like, I want help. Maybe Kyle's finally at that point where he's like, just let me coach.
Where the Yorks are at is, hey, man, we're losing confidence in you, Kyle, but before we fire you entirely, we're going to fire you as a general manager and allow you to focus on your one job and prove to us and everyone that you really are great at this because we think you are. That was the thing with his dad. His dad was a hell of a coordinator, then became a Super Bowl winning head coach, and he was so important to Denver. They basically made him the emperor of the franchise. He became everything, had ultimate power, and that team just sunk into mediocrity. And a lot of people, when they finally fired him, they said Mike Shanahan, the GM, got Mike Shanahan, the head coach, fired. So same thing could be happening with Kyle.
It's the same thing with Belichick. At some point, like it's my issue with Travis Hunter as a player, right? You can't expect yourself, no matter how great you are. Andy Reid doesn't do it. That's why he has Spagnuolo. And that's why he's like, you need to pay this man to keep him around. You can't do everything. We know the defense is what Kyle likes. We know the players are what Kyle wants. We know the coaches are Kyle's. Like, you can't micromanage that. You can't it's hard enough to micromanage a 53-man roster, bro.
Because show me where that works in the NFL anymore. I mean, it's not what Andy Reid does. It's not what Nick Sirianni does. It's what Bill Belichick did, but he's not in the NFL anymore.
Mm-hmm. And even then, he had Tom Brady at that point. Right? Like, it's pretty, and as much as you want to say Belichick, as we want to say Belichick ran it, he at least had Kraft to keep him in check. Like, like they had it was an unhealthy war near the end, but I'm sure that butting heads actually helped them at some point. So it's like, I think John Lynch, and Kyle are on the hot seat as a duo. And I think this year it's like, all right, what if we just let everyone do their jobs? Let's bring in guys.
Before we make a hasty decision and just fire people like Grant said we should, why don't we get people doing their job just to make sure that they're not spread too thin? John, you're the general manager this year. Kyle, you're the head coach this year. We're judging you on those merits, and we're not going to spend a lot of money to help you out because it's been hard for us to evaluate you two the last 9 years because we've spent so much money on players. We actually think we're a big reason you guys have been so successful. So now, Kyle, John, you can be the guy who finds the talent. Kyle, you can be the guy who molds the talent. And if it works out, we're not going to take any credit. It's going to be all you.
Yeah, and I think that is, like if they go second round conference championship and they, say they lose, but whatever, say they do that and do well, like they like, our team's on the up. You can say that. You could genuinely say that. Like we had they have like 11 rookies that are probably going to be taking starting spots this year. Like you have Pooney, who's a second year. You have Purdy, who's finally getting into his role on his own. The receivers are pretty much all new outside of Juwan and BA. Like you got a whole new roster. And I think, if you see, oh, okay, cool. John can do his job. Kyle could do his job. Sala could do his job. And this is going to work out pretty well. Whereas if it backfires, then it's like, okay, it's time to clean up a little bit.
Like if they had an experienced general manager, no offense to John, but like someone who came through the ranks and proved himself, would they have drafted Solomon Thomas? Would they have drafted Reuben Foster? Would they have drafted McGlinchey? Would they have drafted Kinlaw? Would they have traded all those picks for Trey Lance? I mean, those, like the blunders they've made in round one in particular feel like amateurish. And when you have to compete with Philly, if that's the team to beat, the franchise to beat, how can you even begin to compete with Howie Roseman? How
There's
if you
just-
don't have someone who like is legit, like a strong GM?
And here's what
Honestly.
Howie Roseman does, which is why he's so good. He just takes the best talent available at the pick. Like Jalen Carter, yes, he got busted with a bong on his face, but he was a no-brainer. He was right there.
That's not what happened to Jalen Carter. That was Laramie Tunsil.
Oh wait, yeah,
Jalen
sorry.
Carter.
Jalen
Yeah,
Carter
he did
was the
something
accident.
else. Yeah.
But like, still, it's like what does Howie do? He goes, well, he's still the best talent there. Same with Cooper DeJean. Who's the best? Oh, DeJean's still here? Oh, dude, that's a
I think
no-brainer.
Lynch has the Liners always talk about their board, and it's fine to have your board, but I think it's also good to have like an idea of what the rest of the league, what their board would look like, because the Niners, that's how you don't reach. That's how you have a good sense of like value and where you can find players. And the Niners are always saying, well, he was really high on our board. Cool, great. But where was he on everyone else's board? You might have been able to get him later.
Dude, the Michael pick. Dude, what if you just grab Walter Nolan and then traded back into the first round later and grab Michael? Like Kyle kept saying, oh man, we thought he was going to be gone. Based on what?
Based on what? He was not going to be gone.
What mock draft had him gone?
And again, like if I were Jed York and I was hearing John Lynch say, we almost traded up for Michael Williams, I'd be like, well, I'm losing confidence in you because of this stuff. We almost traded up for Michael Williams.
And like, who knows?
Just like you traded up for Trey Lance.
I think that was
for Mac Jones.
I think that was smoke because I think we all know they were probably going to trade up for Kelvin Banks. Like I think that was who they were eyeing if they were to trade up. But if you are being honest and you were genuinely going to trade up for Michael Williams, like, okay, I wouldn't recommend this to any other GM in the NFL. Look at mock drafts, please. Because I don't know what you guys are looking at.
Justin says your board had Ricky Pearsall over Cooper DeJean and Ladd McConkey. Yeah, man, there's way too much smartest guy in the room syndrome going on with the Niners.
I completely
That's such a
agree.
Kyle Shanahan board. It's great to have his board and his opinion and have it be far from consensus, but dude.
Because here's my thing, right? Is like, even if you did like Ricky Pearsall, say Ricky Pearsall ends up being a superstar, say he ends up being Justin Jefferson of the league, you still could have grabbed Cooper DeJean and traded up for Pearsall. Like that does. I hate when they defend like the BA pick. Oh, well, I mean, but look at BA now. He's worth it. You could have had Justin Jefferson, though. Yep. Just because BA worked out doesn't make it a good pick. It makes it a bad pick that you could have gotten later anyways. And he's a good player. Like, I'll give Kyle his credit there. You're a great coach. That was a great job developing BA. You still could have gotten Justin Jefferson. You could have had Justin Jefferson and BA instead of Javon Kinlaw. Like,
man, Javon Kinlaw just got a lot of money.